Memorial Day, as we know it now, didn't officially become a federal holiday until 1971, but it has a long history before that. So, how did we get here? Humans have been honoring their fallen soldiers for thousands of years, at least since the ancient Greeks and Romans, who held remembrance days every year. In the United States, different places started holding their own versions of Memorial Day during the Civil War. One of those happened in 1865 in Charleston, South Carolina, when recently freed slaves organized a ceremony to honor fallen Union soldiers. In other cities, women came together to decorate graves. This became even more common after President Lincoln was assassinated. In 1868, the leader of a group of Northern Civil War veterans designated May 30th as Decoration Day. Northern states made this a holiday, but Southern states chose to honor fallen Confederate soldiers on a different day. After World War II, more people started calling the holiday Memorial Day, and in 1968, Congress decided to make it a federal holiday on the last Monday in May to create a 3-day weekend. That took effect in 1971. So what's the real difference between Memorial Day and Veterans Day? Well, simply put, Memorial Day honors soldiers who have died in battle, while Veterans Day honors those who are still living. Veterans Day on November 11th coincides with the end of World War I. On that date, the UK and other Commonwealth countries hold Remembrance Day, which is more like Memorial Day here in the US. And that's how we got here.